Everybody who's just coming in, welcome to my first kind of official live stream for Plasma Channel. This is the 250,000 subscriber special. Just I want to be here, connect with you guys, have you guys ask any questions that you want to know about the channel, why I do what I do, or directions I'm going in, or where I came from. Any general questions. That's what this probably next 45 minutes to an hour is going to be about. And in general, yeah, it's an AMA. So ask me anything, and we'll see what pops up in the chat. Oh, I see some Mexico flags. All right, 1,000,000 subscribers next in time. If I, if you guys keep enjoying the content. So if I say your name wrong, I'm sorry. Brocifer, excellent. I made this channel because I always loved plasma. I loved plasma physics. I loved high voltage, and I hopped on the internet. 2006 to 2009ish. There wasn't a whole bunch on YouTube for high voltage related content. There was some. There was a little bit here and there, but as the years went by, I experimented with like high voltage, and I found more and more really interesting things that I never learned about in my physics courses in college. Never learned about these things, and I kind of here accidentally discovered them for myself. So I went, oh my gosh, I want to share this with other people. YouTube became the platform for that, and I continue doing it kind of with a passion of sharing, and also eventually moving towards doing this full time as well. Mario asks, will I make a ZVS circuit? Absolutely. I'll make a ZVS circuit. I've already made 2 of them. They tend to blow up, and the magic smoke comes out every single time because I think I just do something wrong. But I'll make a more robust ZVS circuit pretty soon because, as my long-term subscribers know, I'm overdue to make the 1.2 million volt voltage multiplier, and I was going to use a Zvs driver to power that. So. Leslie is asking AMA. AMA means ask me anything. And collaboration with Electroboom. Oh yeah, we have done small collaborations in the past. My last video, or 2 videos back, technically Mehdi was in my video. He actually lives just right over the border for me. I'm in Seattle. He's in Vancouver, BC. So that's a 3-hour drive, pretty close to each other. Javier asks, besides YouTube, what else do you do? And then I'll answer the question, what's my education qualifications after that? Besides YouTube, what I do, I currently work at a company, a satellite-based company. So we design, produce, and sell GPS tags for marine animals. So our clients are researchers and television shows and governments around the world that want to research a specific species in the ocean, so sharks or whales or turtles, and we make the tags that you glue onto the back of those animals, and then it pings away to the satellite and gives you data. I'm a sales consultant for that team. So basically, I work between the researchers and my company. I'm the liaison right in the middle, syncing them up. And then going back real fast, my qualifications. I actually have a degree in marine biology and a degree in physics, but I randomly fell into that other job doing the marine biology stuff. The physics is the long-term ambition and goal. And so my qualifications as well, I've been doing high voltage personally for about 17 years. 17 years, yeah. I've been building coils and anything high voltage you can think of almost every day, because it's a huge passion of mine. And yeah, I'm loving the questions, guys. This is fun so far. You created some of my projects, and you also have a bunch of modifications to them for your own experiments. I'm really glad that if anybody's able to find value in my videos and build one of my DIY contraptions and then make it even better, great. Dude, great on you. Like, the goal of this channel is to spread my passion and to hopefully foster a growth in the maker community. Because I didn't realize until a couple years ago, I'm a maker. I'm not an engineer, even though I took electrical engineering courses. I'm technically not a physicist by degree. I'm more of a maker who applies my knowledge in physics and high voltage to make something in the middle. But What would I do for the 1 million subs? Well, it's gonna have to be a big Tesla coil. And I've been talking to Greg Lay down in New Zealand, I believe. He's kind of between New Zealand and I think California. Greg Lay currently owns the largest Tesla coil in the world, and he has a company called Lightning on Demand, LOD.org. Check it out, everybody watching, LOD.org. Or go on YouTube and look up Lightning on Demand, Greg Lay. He's got the most insane, it's the largest Tesla coil in the world, and it's solid state. So I was thinking I might fly down there or go to California, sync up with him. Him and I have already chatted a couple of times for kind of long-term projects. So for the 1 million sub thing, I'd love to get together with Greg Lay and hopefully not kill myself with this giant Tesla coil. And hold on one second. My apartment is toasty. I got to turn it down a bit. The current video I'm shooting right now, I'm doing some bacterial growth plates, and I am testing a certain technology on sterilizing surfaces and whatnot. But I cranked my apartment up to 78 degrees just to get those growth plates nice and warm, but now I'm toasty. How did you start to like high voltage and plasma? Stefan asks. Great question. Essentially, I was in high school, and it was like lunchtime, and all the clubs or whatever had their tables and booths around for you to check out, like the Japanese club and the electronics club and whatever, ROTC club. And the electronics club had a Tesla coil at the desk. And it's super loud and noisy. We're trying to eat lunch, and you just hear this loud Tesla coil over here. And I go over it to see what the heck this is about, and they say I can touch it. And I snapped at them. I was like, shut up, bro. Like, no, I can't touch it. I'm just going to get hurt. Like, and he's like, no, you can touch those sparks. You want to touch them? And again, I was like, dude, shut up. Like, you're trying to get me hurt. Like, no, I don't want to touch that. It's going to kill me. And then he's like, no, I promise you can touch it. So then I touched the Tesla coil, and yeah, it was like 3 or 4 inch arcs jumping my fingers. And the fact that I didn't die was kind of what made me get into high voltage in the first place. I was like, oh my God, why is that voltage so high, but I'm not dying, right? And because there's a lot more to electricity than just voltage. Over the years, I've learned electricity is amazing. It's not just about the voltage. It is. Voltage matters. Voltage contributes to killing, but there's a lot of factors in there that matter. Nokia asks, what's the highest voltage I've worked with? That would be... and by the way, thank you everybody for the compliments right now. I'm seeing all of your compliments. Thank you. The highest voltage I've worked is... I think that was... The highest DC voltage I've worked on is 420 kilovolts, which is that voltage multiplier right there, which is going to pale in comparison to the 1.2 million I work with. I've worked with 1.2 million calculated volts from a Tesla coil down in Texas when I lived in Texas as well. Can I make a Tesla coil driven guitar amp? I have an old friend that is a very good guitarist, and he tried to get me to make this really interesting audio modulated Tesla coil that's inside of a guitar amp. So it's hard to explain. The guitar amp itself was also like a speaker, but it was a plasma speaker. It was, that's the most I ever got into that. I never really thought about it. I am Khan. Dude, what's up? What's up? Glad to see you here. For the science lab that I think you just came on here, and then suspended from, I'll also answer you as well. Besides this, I work at a tech firm, like a satellite company that sells satellite products basically to researchers and governments around the world. And I'm a sales consultant for them. Now, is finding content hard for this subject? That's an interesting question, because when I first started, right, I thought that there'd only be a certain amount of videos I could do, like a Tesla coil, Van de Graaff generator, voltage multiplier, Marx generator, railgun, stuff like that. And I thought, oh, there's only 5 or 10 topics. But as the months and years and videos have gone by, I've learned that this is like a whole field. This is a whole gigantic field of science. It isn't just a couple of things here and there. And that's why Plasma Channel doesn't like focus on, say, like just Tesla coils or just Van de Graaff generators. I focus on the entire greater field of like high voltage ionic physics. And it is hard sometimes to come up with an idea. But what I do is I stay up late at night. I literally tinker like a 3-year-old child. I just tinker late at night, mess around, try new things, and I'll come up with something that I go, oh, that's interesting. And then I'll look online, I'll research it, and I'll find out that somebody from 150 years ago originally discovered that. And it's just kind of fun to rediscover things for yourself, which that's why I'm a huge proponent of like always tinker, always experiment, because that's what gets the brain flowing. To find content, it can be a little hard at times, but it pops up, and sometimes you get ideas from viewers, from comments. You get, I'd say about a fifth of my video ideas, maybe a quarter of them, have come from um, viewers, which is freaking awesome. Has COVID and the price of Perspex affected your projects? Well, that's from Lost Johnny. And collab with the Action Lab. Him and I are in close contact, James and I. COVID hasn't increased the price of my acrylic that I've noticed, because I'm a regular at the acrylic store. They all know me. I walk in, for 3 years, I've lived in the Seattle area, and I walk into the acrylic store, and they're like, oh, hey, Jay, what are you working on this time? And it's always fun. I'll show them the new video. I'll give them like a sneak peek. Technically, they know about my projects more than anybody else. No, I don't think it's affected the prices at all. C asks, am I affiliated with the government in any way? I am not. I am proud to be an independent entity. Yeah. A plasma antenna, a fluorescent bubble, can be used like an emitter or receiver. I mean, plasma is conductive, so, and if you have a certain length of plasma, it should have a frequency. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. Admittedly, I'm not an expert on, transmitting antennas, so. What plans do I have for the future? I continue on doing this for a very long time. And then I come from a background in film and television. I was an actor, the television actor down in Texas for a few years. So I kind of did that to understand the network and how that whole industry works. Then I hopped over to YouTube so you could actually express yourself, actually make videos about content that you want to make. Right? What interests me. That's what I put out. So the phase 1 was kind of doing the television thing. Phase 2 is doing YouTube, building up a following, and like sharing my passion. And then phase 3 is I want to do YouTube and also pop back into film eventually, and I'll have my own television show. I've got roughly the first season written up of how this television show would go, but that's a ways down the road, and it's ambitious for me to think about that. But it is like a long-term goal for the foreseeable future. Oh, absolutely, full-time YouTube. Full-time making content for you guys. Can I explain a MOSFET in one breath? I would need a very long breath for that, but for some people that are viewing, some may or may not be familiar with MOSFETs. MOSFETs are essentially the modern switch, the modern spark gap, and you can apply voltage to one of the pins. You have 2 pins essentially connecting up a circuit. This is a very basic understanding, right? You have 3, we'll say 3 pins. 2 pins are connected to a circuit, but this is kind of a dead switch. You apply an extra voltage to one of those pins, and now it makes the whole area conductive, and it conducts through the whole path. So it's basically a switch that's turned on and off by electricity itself, and depending on current levels and voltage levels. Now that's an extremely basic explanation of a MOSFET, but highest voltage I've been hit by. Well, I mean, that would probably be 420 kilovolts. But I design all of the things I build to not be lethal, so that I can get shocked and it hurts, but I won't die. I almost died when I first started this out. very badly. I built a Tesla coil without any calculations. Just threw stuff together. I took an MOT, I took the capacitor from an MOT, and I made a little 1 millimeter spark gap. And I didn't measure the primary coil or the secondary coil. I didn't measure anything. I just wound a bunch of wires together and plugged it in. And it actually made sparks that are a couple inches long. And so I thought I could touch it. Well, it was not tuned correctly. It was incredibly overpowered. And I still have a picture of me holding the camera and then like trying to touch it. And my body convulsed and I flew back. And I have a picture where my hands even convulsed. So I took a picture as I flew back, and I still have this picture. It's on some computer of like a blurry Tesla coil as I'm flying back. I got very lucky that day. Don't be like Jay. Don't just throw components together and build a random Tesla coil. Do your research. How old was I when I started it all? I was 15. 15, yeah, and I built my first Tesla coil at 15, all from information on the internet. I think 100% of it was from information on the internet. So, Lucy draws art. Yeah, actually, there's news here in Seattle that we're supposed to get the Northern Lights here in Seattle as well. I'm really skeptical of that. I was raised in Seattle, moved away, came back, and I've heard that news like 100 times that Seattleites, you're gonna be able to see the aurora tonight. No. We never get to see it here, but it's supposed to be visible tonight too. Oh, Kian, you said something, but you're gone now. Okay, let's zoom back up. Stay classy. You stay classy too. If you're heading out, then hey, it was nice to see you, man. You keep plugging away at those videos. Miguel is correct. Yeah, when you experiment with high voltage, 100%. Be double as careful as what you think you need to be. And that is something I want to improve upon with my videos, is recommending safe handling of high voltage. I've taken down one video, an old video of mine that was actually kind of successful. I took that down because it was not, it was kind of encouraging unsafe things, so I took it down. Yep, Orion, if you keep spamming like that, we're gonna have to get you out of the chat room here. You're gonna need to stop spamming there. Yeah. Thank you. What you need to build a Tesla coil, Orion, is you're gonna need a high voltage power source, and you're gonna need some wire and a capacitor, and you can literally throw things together otherwise. A really messy Tesla coil can be made in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I've got a couple videos on that. Feel free to check those out. Team C's. Yeah, I just ran across Team C's yesterday. Dominic asks, yeah, why don't you do Team C's? I believe that's an invite thing only. I'm at 250,000 subs, and while I'm honored to be at 250,000, 250,000 is nothing compared to say 5 million. And the pattern I'm seeing is that Team C's is the larger YouTubers. Now I don't know if they were selected by Team C's or if they applied for it. I haven't looked into that, but I think it's an invite thing only. The people with the largest influence have been selected for Team C's. Yeah, and by the way, if you guys aren't familiar with Team C's, check it out. Every large YouTuber, you got Mark Rober, you've got Electroboom, you've got Mr. Beast. It's just like Team Trees a year or two ago. Now it's Team C's, and they're doing competitions to see who can collect the most trash in the ocean. And this is a great example. This is a great example of innovation helping to save the planet, right? Which is helping to make the environment a little bit cleaner. Regardless of where you stand on that, you can't deny that innovation helps clean up the oceans drastically. And YouTube is just an example of a capitalistic system where you make the best product or the best idea, and people watch you for it. And Team C's is brilliant. Is everybody benefits. Their videos get watched, and they clean up the environment at the same time. It's brilliant. And so if you haven't checked out Team C's, really, really cool thing happening right now. Next will be Team Air. Team Air. Hey, certain cities in the world could really use help with Team Air, let me tell you. Um, make a microwave gun and create plasma with it. Roy asks. Um, I'll consider that. How many languages do I speak? I speak English and a very roughly watashi nihongo wa warui desu. My Japanese is terrible. I speak very basic Japanese. Um, can I help you on a Tesla coil? Kappa asks. Kappa. Depending, you're always welcome to email me. I'm a bit busy for one-on-one assistance, but I do have a couple of videos that are DIY builds that might help you with building that. Ooh, building a radio telescope would be really fun. Okay, can I make something? Can I make something to use the atmospheric gradient to help clean up the oceans? That's actually not a bad proposal. The problem with atmospheric energy that I've kind of shown a little bit in the past two videos I made, you can't necessarily collect an overwhelming amount of energy from the sky. And actually, a viewer left some wonderful calculations and some citations for information I hadn't seen. There is a limited amount of power you'd be able to pull from the sky. And for example, if you were to pull and everywhere you can pull energy from the sky, the maximum proposed amount of energy you can pull, I think, is 5 terawatts across the whole globe. So 5 terawatts of energy from atmospheric, which is a lot, but it's something like 10% of our actual across the globe. So it wouldn't um, power the whole planet, but you could potentially use that for cleaning up the seas or cleaning the air up. I think that's totally plausible. So Aman asked, "Do I know Hindi?" I do not know Hindi. I've had a lot of requests to do translations into Hindi videos. Unfortunately, at this time I only have the time to do one language because I do YouTube about 30 to 40 hours a week, and then I do a full-time job, 40 hours a week. Um, and then I try to have some kind of life in between there. So I just don't have the extra time for other languages right now. So Nikola Tesla, do I think he made free energy? You have to define what free energy really is. He would have made freely available energy for people potentially around the globe or in various spots because his plan was to broadcast using the Wardenclyffe Tower out of New York. And, that power is connected up to the power grid of the United States. So it takes energy and takes money and it takes manpower to make that energy in the power plants. And then he was using the power grid and he was going to broadcast it wirelessly for free. So for that, in those regards, that was totally kind of free energy, what he had planned to transmit abroad. And that's one of the reasons why JP Morgan shut down the project's funding because he realized that there was no profit to be had and money would just be shooting out into the air because it takes money to create electricity at power plants. So interesting. Am I still doing sports? I haven't done sports in some time, but I guess you have to define that. I lift weights, not much in the past couple weeks, and then I run regularly. Actually, tomorrow morning, I'm doing a Halloween like 5K, just fun 5K. I was gonna dress up as Captain Crunch, but I think I'm gonna do something else. I'm seeing a lot of people actually requesting Hindi, and a lot of people saying hi from India. So I must have a lot of people watching from there. So thanks a bunch. Um, to convince your parents to buy electrical components, I think you should probably prove to them that you understand electrical safety, and you can prove to them that you understand like the one hand rule. In a lot of my videos, I recommend the one hand rule. So at all times, keep one hand in your pocket. That way, if you get shocked, there's a drastically less chance that the shock will be right across your arms and across your chest. And in theory, there'll be less current going across your chest than across your heart. So yeah, convince them you know the one hand rule, and maybe show them that you understand electrical safety. Please tell us my email. My email is actually publicly available. And my email is underneath my channel page, and you just go to the About tab, and then you can. I have an email there that I really need to make a plasma channel email. Right now, it's just my personal email. I have not read Thomas Bearden's explanation of that. I don't believe. That's something I could definitely look into, though. Jonathan, nope, you're not censored. I just got a lot of questions coming in here, and trying to make sure I tackle as many of them as I can. Can I build a Wimshurst? Okay, okay. I say it wrong all the time. Wimshurst. I get it. I pronounce it wrong. Not a big deal. I want to build one, but there's an element about all of my builds that there's a theme. I don't like fragility. I don't like things that are fragile, and I don't like things that have wear and tear. So I like Tesla coils because even a solid state Tesla coil in my mind is, or sorry, even a spark gap Tesla coil, I would consider that solid state. You have wear and tear in the spark gap, and that's it. But I've been using this for 16 years, and that spark gap still is not that corroded, right? So with lower power coils, even that doesn't have wear and tear. My point is, Wimshursts are friction based, like Kin kinetic friction based. You have dragging friction. Van de Graaff generators are more of a static friction based. They're just contact based. So you have a roller, you have the rubber belt, and so that isn't even like a rubbing like this. That's just like contact and uncontact. And so there's not a lot of wear and tear on a Van de Graaff. On a Wimshurst, there is a lot of wear and tear, and I just fundamentally it drives me mad that the brushes wear down over time or the plates get all scraped up. And I'll build one. I'll totally build one. It's just like a OCD thing of mine. I don't like fragility. I don't like wear and tear. So um, they're still really cool devices. I have a small one from a company called Sparkit out of New Zealand. So Raj Kumar asks, what did I study in college? In college, I studied three things technically. I studied marine biology, physics, and astronomy. And physics was always the biggest passion of mine, if you could tell. Physics was the biggest passion. I fell into a current job right now where I'm using that marine biology knowledge and degree, but physics was always where I lied. Oh, Hackaday themselves. Hey, thanks. Thanks for the congratulations for the 250,000. Yeah, I I look forward to many more excellent videos and you guys hosting my videos. Thank you. Anybody who's not familiar with Hackaday in this live stream right now, and oh hey 55, what's up? Anybody's not familiar with Hackaday, go check out hackaday.com. All right, it's easily the biggest, most important website in the world for makers and just doers and makers like myself, right? And a lot of YouTubers that build stuff like a DIY video, you'll find that on Hackaday. Really great website and great people too. Let's see. Yeah, you. I'm glad you still caught me on 55. Yeah, I didn't think you'd be able to make it today, but I'm glad you're able to be on the live stream yesterday and today. Aman asked, what is the name of my college? I went to Washington State University, the Cougars, and then I technically graduated from University of Oregon as a Duck. Yeah, let's go Ducks. Or University of Oregon, wonderful college. If you ever been there, Eugene, Oregon, wonderful. Can you make a video on how to make a Tesla coil from broken stuff around the home? Because the parts you have are very limited. I agree. Yeah, Kappa. You can. Yeah, Tesla coils can be made very easily as long as you don't care about performance too much or appearance. You can throw together a Tesla coil really quickly. I could consider a video about like I wanted to make a video called the 10-minute taser Tesla coil, where you just take like a taser or something and in 10 minutes you make a Tesla coil. I wanted a title with a lot of T's in it because it sounded really cool. You recently built a solid-state Tesla coil. Congratulations. Can I recommend an interrupter? Unfortunately, that is a little bit outside my expertise at this moment. I'm not going to try to pretend I understand SSTCs super well. I understand them basically, and I can design an extremely basic SSTC, but I think I'm unfortunately can't recommend an interrupter for you. Yeah, that's right. Inadvisable Science. That's where a lot of Animal House was filmed. Hey, Lab Coats, what's up? Thanks for joining. I'm glad you're on here, and thank you for the congratulations. Yeah. I do not have any testing equipment to measure 5G radiation and how it could affect the human organism. Um, 5G is how do I say? You have tens of thousands of sources of electromagnetic radiation going through at all times. From my computer screen and my computer right now, even though it's inside of an aluminum case, I still have thousands of little sources inside of here that are radiating in front of me. 5G has limited evidence on it being degradatory towards human health. Interesting, though, that you do wear radiation suits when you are doing repairs up there near the towers, but you also have extraordinary signal strengths right next to the towers. So, but I can't claim I know everything about that. I would have to research more on all that to make an actual statement. I've had a lot of questions about making a ZVS driver. I've had a lot of questions about that. Um, yeah, I've made ZVS drivers in the past. I plan on making a more formal ZVS driver coming up. I'm overdue to make a very big voltage multiplier. Some of you guys might know that. And yeah, yeah, crazy nerd inventor. That's right. You're holding me accountable. The 1.2 megavolt tower. That's what I'd use the ZVS for, because that 1.2 megavolt tower, I would want it to actually put out something impressive. And for perspective, let me show you the parts I'm dealing with and one reason why I have not done the tower yet. So the way I build my towers is piece by piece by piece. It's a personal preference, and also it's the cheapest thing to do. That's about a fifth of the parts, a sixth of the parts needed to build the tower. I've got most of it right there. It's just kind of like, oh man, the amount of time required to solder. I think I counted it was like 600 connections, 600 solder connections. I could buy a bunch of doorknob capacitors, and that's much cheaper and faster and more compact. Doorknob capacitors are extremely expensive, though. So if somebody knows a really good source for some doorknob caps that are rated at 45, 50 kilovolts, let me know. I would love to talk to you. Send me an email. Can I make an ion propulsion system? Great question, Iman. I've made a super basic ionic thrust video in the past. It's a little old and outdated. I have a collaboration coming up. Potentially. I potentially have a collaboration coming up with a guy that hates tomatoes, a friend of mine. And him and I are going to potentially do like an ionic thrust airplane. So there's not really ion propulsion, but it's kind of along those lines. Uh, Good question about higher lower frequencies on Tesla coils. Well, there's a couple of variables that affect Tesla coil frequency, but generally, a larger Tesla coil is pretty much always going to have a lower frequency, and that's because that secondary coil resonates at a much lower rate. You know, it's got a longer length of wire. It also has more capacitance to it, so that makes the LC, the resonant frequency of it, much lower. And you can think of it literally as a long slinky versus a short slinky. You have a really long slinky, it's going to take longer for that wave to move back and forth. A short slinky, it's going to bounce back and forth real fast. So to have a lower frequency Tesla coil, they generally need to be much smaller. This is not a Tesla coil proper, in my opinion. This is going to irritate some people. I don't consider Slayer exciters to be a true Tesla coil. They're kind of a brother of it, I'd call. But this is a pancake Slayer exciter I made. This much wire here was 1.2 megahertz. and that's partly determined by just how much wire was right there. This, if my memory serves me right, the Genesis coil I think was I think it was like 300 and I think 300 kilohertz or something like that. I could be off, but it's because it's got more wire, longer length of wire, so it's just a lower frequency. Yeah, I saw Electro Boom's magic wand. I loved it. Him and I actually got contacted by a television company each down in. It's actually a YouTube show called "Can You Survive the Movies," and they contacted both of us to make magic wands. And I had a small magic wand that I've done for a video a year ago. It just was a lot lower powered, and then Electro Boom made his. It's like 3 times as powerful as mine, so they went with his. And make high voltage capacitance. Oh, how? So I've had a couple requests to make high voltage capacitors. Man, I can't even tell you guys how many times, how many freaking times I have wanted to do a simple video like, well, I mean, I've already got a bottle capacitor built up over here, and half of the video filmed on how to make like a high voltage bottle capacitor. But the struggle with putting out these videos on YouTube is you need to make sure that you're producing content that is unique, or at least unique enough, right? And even if it's something you're passionate about and you want to share it, if 7,000 other people have shared an identical video, nobody really, your video just kind of tanks. So I haven't put out the high voltage bottle capacitor video yet because I haven't figured out how to put my spin on it, just to make it a little more unique for me. Swapnil, if I pronounced your name wrong, I'm sorry, Swapnil. Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate my videos. Thank you. I really appreciate that. How do I diagnose a dead voltage multiplier? Crazy nerd. I first of all cry quietly in the corner for about an hour because I know it's a lot of work, and then I I generally I don't have the best diagnosis methods. I generally know the failure points on my particular, and so what I'll do is I'll unsolder a couple of points and then test the diodes and see if they're conducting only in one way. And then I'll also test to see what the leakage current is on the individual capacitors. To do that, I generally need to unsolder a big portion of the voltage multiplier. I've only had that happen once. I've only had that happen once where I need to make a repair on any of them. So if you over design your voltage multipliers voltage wise, if you over design it, they'll never break. And when you pot them in wax like I do, they're yellow because that's about 15 pounds of beeswax. When you pot things in wax, it's a pain to repair stuff. So just over design things to begin with. Thoughts on Creoson? Oh man, okay. So the Lad Science. Hey, thank you for stopping by. So Creoson, I love them. Uh, him, I don't know. Them, I think it's a group. I've watched their videos for a long time, and they make very interesting content. One thing I love about their content is it's so non-standard in my opinion. It's so they do some very interesting things. Not all of their videos really resonate with me. They used to more. Kind of their newer stuff, like in Pripyat, however you pronounce it. They're doing their journeys in the radioactive areas. Those are cool videos, but they're not really not my taste right now. New Normac asks, "Are you involved with Team C's?" Yeah, so I'm not read up on enough on how to be involved with it. I don't know if it's the YouTuber applies or if you are selected and contacted. And I mean, I definitely haven't been contacted. But I would love to be involved with Team C's. I, one of my degrees is marine biology, so I actually love the ocean very much. So, oh, quick note about Styro Pyro too. Mario was talking about Styro. Styro's a cool cat. That guy, he's way too smart for his own good. I had a conversation with a museum over in Long Island, Skype conversation. They want me to help them design a museum exhibit. and they knew about styropyro. And this guy that I was talking to was in the Navy, working in Navy lasers, something with laser research for years. And he said, "Oh my gosh, styropyro knows more than most of our Navy department does or did when he was in the Navy." He's like, "Styro's a genius." And I said, "Yeah, that kid's a smart kid." Can you make a DIY big size Tesla coil? Yeah, I've requests. I've had a ton of requests to show the build for the Genesis coil. Um, I'll do it eventually. Yeah. I am physics. Am I familiar with the etheric dynamics theory? He explains the nature of charge, current, electric, and magnetic fields. I'm not super familiar with that. I would have to read into that. How do I ground a spark gap Tesla coil? Hamid, excellent question. And I think this is an important thing for everybody to know. Um, there, with high frequency AC, you can cheat. You don't always need a perfect solid ground connection. Now, for optimum performance, absolutely. Tesla himself understood this, and that's why Tesla had what was it, 8 rods pounded like 15 feet deep into the ground. I forget. For maximum performance, you need a solid ground connection. Otherwise, high frequency AC, you can use a counterpoise. And almost every single one of my Tesla coils, except for the big one, all of them use a counterpoise system. So the bottom of the Tesla coil, wherever it sits on, is the metal base plate. There's a metal base plate on the bottom, and that capacitively couples to the ground, no matter what the ground is. Is the ground the table? Right here is the ground. The physical ground is the ground. The glass. And that being said, the performance varies depending on which surface you put the Tesla coil on. So for smaller Tesla coils, it's generally accepted under a couple hundred of watts. You can use a counterpoise. And even for larger coils, you can still use a counterpoise, but you need to make the counterpoise bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's going to sit right on the ground or sit on a surface and capacitively couple energy to the ground. And that'll be your ground connection. I love counterpoises because I hate ground connections. Ugh. Nigel, my man, what's up? I currently do have a lady, yes. You can actually see her in the video of mine where I made the Van de Graaff generator this year, where she's got I made fun of her cow socks. It's actually really funny. She's like, "Make sure you don't show my socks on screen." So I immediately made sure they were on screen. I put that in the video right away. Would hot glue be a less messy alternative to wax for high voltage insulation? Good question, crazy nerd. I hadn't thought about it. It's possible. I don't really know what hot glue is actually made out of, what the substance is, but it probably is a very good insulator. I wonder how you melt all that once. I guess you just have a bunch of sticks, you put it in the oven and you melt it, which I've done. My oven hates me. I use it for science all the time. I could try that. How safe are transformers that so many YouTube videos on them? How do they pull max amps? That's a very big answer. Transformers can be designed 10 million different ways to have 10 million different, results. So, can I make a Thor hammer? Ooh, yeah. Kian asks, do I edit the videos myself? Real fast, because I think you're calling in for the night. Yes, I do everything myself. So I it's a big process. Yeah, I edit my own videos, and editing it's fun. It's fun, but it's also really competitive because you'll edit your video and then you'll take a break and you'll watch like a YouTube video. Just I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna watch YouTube, and then you watch somebody edit how their video's edited, and you go, wait a second, that's a cool idea. No, and you go back to your edited video and you change a whole bunch of stuff, and so it's fun, but it's also like, man, really tedious. But yeah. Now back to, can I make a Thor hammer? Oh, absolutely. I've been planning on it for a while, and actually, Jake from JR Laser videos, him and I worked together a little bit to get him that. He made a really great Thor's hammer video. It's a backpack powered solid state Tesla coil, and the Tesla coil is inside of the Thor's hammer. So check out that video. Myself though, I am waiting. I have a really, really dope idea that nobody's done. And I might even like commercialize the idea, make it a product people can buy, because I don't want to say it in case somebody has more resources than I to make it right now. But it's let's just say it's a Thor's hammer combined with a lightning detector. Yeah. Hey, greetings from Brazil. Well, thank you. Greetings from the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Mm-mm. And can I grow a plant in a box with ozone and plasma 24/7? Um, I don't know. That I'd have to look into see what high concentrations of ozone do to plants. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Have I seen the new lab coats solid state Tesla coil? I actually have lab coats and the collaboration that they all did. I think Coil Labs lab coats. Go check out their YouTube channel, you guys. It's LABCOATZ lab coats. Yeah, they did a spectacular job on a solid state Tesla coil. Very nice, and they did a good collaboration as well. Linus, oh man, well, thank you. I'm honored that I'm your inspiration. I just want to share a passion, and I'm really glad that you guys are here to enjoy it with me. You know, hey from Chicagoland. Well, greetings from Seattle land. Patagonia. Oh, come on, Patagonia. Jay here in the chat lives in Patagonia area, one of the most beautiful spots on the entire planet. Wow, you guys got nature there like nothing else. I didn't know that. Suspended from mentions that India's on an electrical crisis right now. I didn't know that. A lack of coal. Huh. Now it's really difficult to switch over infrastructure for energy sources, but eventually in time, we'll move slowly away from coal. I'm not a giant proponent of like let's ban coal right now. I'm realistic about it in time, right? And so that's definitely a risk of running out of local coal supplies. So sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that parts of India are suffering in those regards. Spark generator as a driver, it will work. Uh, Linus, or if I'm saying it wrong, Linus, or either way, I apologize. To make your own, yeah, absolutely. You can use a spark generator, like one of those cheap Chinese, like 400,000 volt generators, which is they're more like 40,000 volts. But yeah, absolutely. You can use AC or DC high voltage to make a Tesla coil, and in my opinion, DC powered Tesla coils are far easier because all it is you have high voltage DC, you charge up a capacitor, and you just have the capacitor jump across a gap because that's what a spark gap is, and voila. And yeah, you could definitely use those spark generators to charge up a capacitor. Otherwise, like for my little battery powered Tesla coils, they all have a diode added to the output because it's an AC. So I put a diode in it to make it DC, and you might as well just start with a DC power source. No such thing. What was the highest voltage I have ever created? And also, what's the highest voltage anyone's ever measured or limitation by nature? Great question. I don't remember the exact figures, but the largest spark ever created by mankind was the Siberian Institute of Electrical Engineering. I think that's what it was. Siberian Institute. Yeah. You can see pictures from a long time ago, black and white pictures, and it's an old Marx generator in Siberia. The Marx generator is like 10 stories tall, right? So 110 feet or 33 meters for all you rest of the world. Really filtered myself there. Yeah, so it's like that tall, right? But the spark length was 110 meters, 110 meters, and there was one spark that jumped 150 meters, shot over where it was supposed to connect, and it connected with a telephone pole outside of the research area. It went outside the research area, hit a telephone pole, and went, on the street. So the largest spark ever created was 150 meters in length, and that was the one. The largest voltage I've ever worked with, 420,000 volts, which it's a DC pulse. It was only about a foot and a half. Now, keep in mind, a Tesla coil that makes sparks that are 5, 10 feet long, that isn't necessarily the voltage equivalent of a DC spark 1.5 feet long. A DC spark 1.5 feet long is much easier to measure. High frequency pulses, like a Tesla coil, they build on spark length over an ionized channel. They build on it, and that's why sparks get really long. So measuring a Tesla coil spark length versus a DC spark length, you have to do them differently. Oh, that's okay. Oak Ridge, 32.5 megavolts. Hey, Vigily. Hey, I'm glad you hopped on board. You have some great content. Love your stuff. So yeah, 32.5 megavolt at Oak Ridge in USA from the Van de Graaff. I think that was the original large Van de Graaff as well, wasn't it? Maybe it wasn't. I forget. But that's the beautiful thing about Van de Graaffs is they have very few physical limitations in terms of voltage. You want a higher voltage, you make a larger sphere. You're gonna have more leakage and whatnot, sure, but in terms of limitations, Van de Graaffs have the ceiling for the maximum voltage from a Van de Graaff is far higher than a lot of other devices. What percentage of views do I get from India? Suspended from masks. I think it's, I believe about 25% of my viewership. 30% comes from India, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, visually, man. You too. You've done some great content. You, if I remember correctly, I think you did a great plasma flame video, and you've done some other great work as well. That's all we can really hope for, as science YouTubers, is to hopefully bring more ideas to light so that more people and more brains can think and come together. Because I'm a diehard believer that through science, all things are possible, but they're only possible if brains come together. So, oh, apparently I just got a call. Wardenclyffe Tower. Do I want to make one? Nah, not really. There's already plenty of people that could outpace me on that one. For those that just got on board, Greg Lay is an example of one. Greg Lay, he currently owns one of the largest, if not the largest, Tesla coil on the planet. He is got a company called Lightning on Demand, and Lightning on Demand tried to do a Kickstarter campaign a couple of years ago to make 2 twin Tesla coils separated by 100 meters, and the Tesla coils, I believe, were somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were like 60 meters tall, 60, 70 meters tall. And they're going to be separated by, I think, 100 or 150 meters. And they're going to be a bipolar configuration. And it's like, we already got people like that doing some crazy stuff. I don't have the funding for that. Subscribe to my Patreon. Actually, a quick note while I'm here. A couple of my patrons have actually hopped on board into the chat. Should you decide you want to see my videos a day early before the rest of the public, I always give that offer to my Patreons. You get to see the video a day early. You get teasers for a lot of my videos. And from time to time, I'll do polls and asking the patrons what video idea I might want to do next. And so, yeah, check out the Patreon. I have multiple tiers. And even if you just want to stop by and take a look at the Patreon, I think I have a link down below. I don't really know how the live streams work, but after it's posted, the link will be there. Aman asks, have I ever visited India? I have not. I would love to, though. Joey, thanks for stopping by. You can measure high voltage several ways. You can use a voltage divider, a resistive voltage divider circuit. So you have a resistive load, and you can measure the voltage across the whole load. Or you can then say 1 ohm and 1,000 ohms here, and then you can just measure like the 1 ohm component or the 1,000 ohm component with power going through the whole thing. And it's called a voltage divider. It allows you to sample a small portion of the voltage across it. Otherwise, when it gets to really high voltages, between 5 to 100,000 volts, I flat out prefer approximations based off of standardized spark gaps. So 2 1-inch brass spheres. 1-inch breast spheres is a standard that we used to use for measuring high voltage, and the distance the spark jumps between those two spheres, well, that's how we came up with the 30 kilovolts per centimeter is the distance a spark, the voltage required for a spark length, 30 kilovolts per centimeter between two 1-inch brass spheres. Creating a Tesla coil with 4,000, maybe. I don't really have a specific goal in mind for turns. Granddad is an old man. Hey, thank you so much for hopping on board. Granddad, I've loved your content. Admittedly, one thing I love about your content is it seems like just like random fun stuff that you love, and some really cool things you make too. You make some really cool things. Thanks for stopping on. Thanks for always being a supporter, dude. Okay, let's talk for a second, everybody, about those DIY cheap taser modules on Amazon marketing 1,000,000 volts. Are they actually that dangerous? Nothing makes me want to bash my head through a window more than seeing there's not many regulations on lying about products. You can say this is a 20 million volt taser. This is a 500 million volt stun gun. And a lot of products a lot of admittedly foreign made products that get into our markets, you find them on Amazon or you find them on eBay, whatever, and they're always listed as like 500 billion volt stun gun. No, they're not. They're more like 30 to 60 kilovolts. Several YouTubers have tested it, and also just for perspective, 3 million volts DC, in theory, would be a minimum of 1 meter long. 3 million volts would be 1 meter. A spark 1 meter long. So then you have these stun gun companies talking about like 100 million volt stun gun, but it's only making a spark that's a centimeter long, between the two electrodes. So it's like it literally is physically impossible. That spark would be 30 meters long if it was 100 million volts. Imagine the ones that say 100 billion volts and everything else. Can I make a video to explain how an ionic thruster works? I actually have made an older video about 3 years ago. I did do a basic video. It isn't my best video, and none of them back then were my best videos. But yeah, check it out. There's a ionic thrust video. I think it's titled like A New Hope Ionic Thrust. I'll make another video though about ionic thrust soon. Visually, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, look into a high voltage engineering textbook. All the data is there. Yeah. And why don't I use eye protection glasses? I guess it wouldn't hurt to use eye protection. A lot of times I'm not necessarily doing something that's an inherent risk to my eyes, unless it is a high-powered spark gap. You got a lot of UV coming out. But for just open air discharges, open air sparks, from a voltage multiplier or a Tesla coil, not a big risk with UV. Ooh, it's over 9,000. I'm so glad that some people understand the awesomeness of Dragon Ball Z. Thank you. You've made my day. Personally, obviously, Vegeta is the best character, of course. Yes, I've made a Jacob's ladder. Christopher asks, I have, yeah. The Jacob's ladders are very fun. They're actually very simple, very, very simple high voltage devices, and yeah, they're fun to make all the time. They're a great starting thing to build out to kind of show the basics of how plasma is hot and rises up, unless you make cold plasma. Yeah. Hi, Sarah. Beyond the amazing ideas I share with us, do you think any projects have any commercial potential? I do have 3 products that I want to commercialize. I actually have a plasma channel website that I halfway made and then just didn't have the time to finish. And I had planned on selling kits. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I have kits that I've been talking about wanting to do. I still plan on these DIY kits that I'll commercialize. I'll sell them, and they'll be very easy kits you put together in half an hour. But like I said, I work YouTube about 40 hours a week, and I work a full-time job about 40 hours a week as well. Last week I worked 55 hours at that, plus about 40 on YouTube. That's like 90 hours a week I work. I just don't have the free time to start this side business of kits. So that's why, honestly, like Patreon supporters are a big deal, because the more Patreon supporters I have, the more likely I'll be able to go full-time YouTube, and I'll be able to then have all that free time to make kits, sell kits, start the website up, put videos out more often. And that's why I'm really grateful for Patreon supporters. It's like they make a big difference. They really push me towards the possibility of going full time. Oh yeah, Luke Williams asking about cold plasma. So I thought cold plasma was a myth for like the longest time. I had a lot of viewers tell me to do cold plasma for years. Just like shut up. No, that's not a thing. Um, turns out I'm wrong. Turns out I'm wrong, and I'm doing an upcoming video about that. Cold plasma is kind of a misnomer. You have thermal equilibrium plasmas and non-thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium is like a hot spark in the open air, or like if you take a ZVS driver or just a hot electrical arc and it's high voltage and it's arcing and it's thousands of degrees. That's a thermal equilibrium. The electrons are at extremely high temperature, as well as the atoms in the air at very high temperatures. You can do a process to strip the temperature away or lower the temperature down of those atoms, and the electron temperature is still through the roof, but they don't have much mass. What has mass is the gas molecules. So you can cool down the gas molecules substantially to where they are actually cold to the touch. So you can touch the plasma and it doesn't burn you at all, but it actually sterilizes. So it's just a misnomer. It's called cold plasma. Technically, portions of it microscopically are at tens of thousands of degrees, but it's cold to the touch. Yeah. Any book recommendations? Now, you guys should know I've actually gotten a few people asking over the years about book recommendations. Usually on Instagram messaging, I get a lot of things. Admittedly, I don't have any square book recommendations. I more recommend other YouTubers. I truly believe YouTube is one of the future avenues for education. And that's why I'm an educational YouTuber and a little bit of entertainment in there too. You can learn so much through kind of finding the right educational YouTuber, and examples of that would be kind of a lot of the bigger names, right? Names that hopefully I can contribute to as well. But you've got Electroboom, you've got Smarter Every Day, you've got Veritasium, and you can learn a lot through those people. Frank, hey, welcome. Yeah, welcome to the group. The hammer lightning detector, I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's just going to be it's something I've been thinking about for 2 years. Electroboom might assist with it, depending on his schedule and how much time he has. But I have a plan for lightning detector that I don't want to give away too many details. Just think about it would look like it belongs in a Marvel movie, like in the Thor universe, and that's all I can say. Just say it would work. It would work without any human input. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of requests for ZVS drivers still. Yep, no, new people. I plan on doing ZVS drivers still. Yeah. Yes, Jonas. Jonas. So first off, Christopher, I do plan on eventually doing an acrylic Jacob's ladder. The problem with the acrylic is it's going to heat up and melt really anywhere close to the plasma. Now, when it comes to simulating lightnings in the rockets, that's a legitimate science. For those of you who don't know, you can do what's called seeding lightning, and it's actually regulated by a lot of governments. You got to be careful. Seeding lightning is brilliant. You don't even need a lightning storm nearby. Generally, you need high winds and cloud cover above you. You launch a rocket up into the sky, up into the clouds, and you have it attached to a grounded wire. And as that rocket goes up through the voltage gradient, through the atmosphere, then gets closer and closer to the cloud, it'll initiate a lightning strike. And the beautiful thing about that is it'll be a full-blown lightning strike, but you'll know exactly where it's going. It's following the path of the wire right back to where the wire goes into the ground. So you can set up your sensors, you can set up your cameras, your high-speed videography, and you can study it. University of Florida or it's Florida State University does this. They have a lightning research program and they launch rockets up all the time. Really cool stuff. It's a video I plan on doing. I've been warned by many people who work for the government that I will be committing a felony. So yeah, I have to research that to see if that's actually real and true. But it's something you have to be more careful about. Am I planning to make a vacuum tube Tesla coil? I would love to make a vacuum tube Tesla coil. I live in a community though, and I'm pretty sure that people wouldn't like all that EMF, considering my neighbors are 25 feet in all directions. Yeah. And just a heads up here, I will be heading out. I'll have to end this live stream here in a couple of minutes. I would like to do work with hydrogen generators. That'd be a really cool thing. I haven't done a lot in those regards. Now that I think about it, I haven't done much at all with hydrogen generators. I think that, I think an acrylic electrolysis cell would be freaking awesome. I agree. And it's a really cool concept. I guess I just don't fully trust myself with all the sparks around and a big thing of hydrogen collecting. I'll probably be fine. That's why I got two hands in case one falls off. Gad asks, will I try building the new lab coats coil? Yeah, he actually emailed me and said that he wanted to send me the solid state coil to build it. And actually, I need to respond to lab coats. If you're still on here watching, sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet. I've been so busy. But yeah, that's definitely something I consider. They did a very nice build for that solid state coil. The aluminum battery. Okay, yeah, so Free King, awesome. Nice name. Yeah, I'd love to do a plasma speaker, but again, I want to do it my own way, in a unique way. I need to figure out how to do it the plasma channel way. I don't really know what that means. Well, I'm going to one more minute. I'm going to end the live stream here, and yeah, feel free to. And yeah, thank everybody for the congratulations. I see people writing in. Very nice. Thank you for the support. It's a big deal to me. Literally, the fun part about YouTube is this, and the live stream is really fun. The fact that you got certain number of people following you. So for me, I just hit 250,000. It's just really cool. And what's even cooler is not everybody leaves a comment that subscribes, right? So we content creators, we see you regularly commenting, and we generally remember the people that are commenting on every single video. And so you feel like you build a kind of a loose friendship over time with these viewers, and it's really fun. It's really enjoyable. You guys make this super enjoyable. You also, I mentioned earlier about a quarter of my video ideas maybe come from viewers. So keep shooting great ideas my way. If you want to encourage me to do this full time and be able to, make that website where I sell kits for everything I put on the videos, one thing that would help is checking out my Patreon. Consider, if it's something you want to do, consider supporting me on Patreon. You'll get a couple of perks. You'll watch the videos a day early. You'll get to see some behind the scenes teasers to my videos. But that will push me towards being able to do this full time. And then you guys can have more frequent videos, higher quality videos, and potentially that website where I sell the kits. So, but yeah, thanks a bunch, everybody, for watching. And yeah, I appreciate it. Lab Coats, I'm glad you're still on here. I will respond to your email here shortly. I need to do a little bit of filming before it gets dark today, and then I'll do that. So you all have a great time. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I've seen a lot of new names, and I've seen a lot of names I'm very familiar with. So thanks everybody. You stay classy.